Alright guys, in today's video we have more PS5 news to go over and discuss, so make sure you hit that like button to help the video out and show your support. We are starting here with Insomniac Games explaining how making Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart for the PS5 from the ground up takes the gameplay to another level, but they're also emphasizing just how big of a difference it has been to develop for the PS5 compared to past consoles. And this is once again very interesting to me because we're just hearing this more and more about the PS5 specifically and how it's just enabling a completely different approach to game design. And I think that there's really no better game as of right now that kind of showcases that than what we've seen with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. We do have some other topics as well that we will be discussing in this video. So let's start here with what Insomniac has to say. It says Insomniac Games has said that developing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart for the PlayStation 5 has granted the development team access to the, quote, broadest palette of techniques and the highest fidelity we've ever had for developing weaponry, unquote. In an interview with Games Radar, game director Mike Daly said that weapons will feel absolutely amazing thanks to the DualSense's features. Creative director Marcus Smith added that working on the PS5 has been a paradigm shift in the way that they do things, all because of near-instant loading screens, 3D audio, and the graphical leap. You can look forward to some of the new developments that make weapon impact feel absolutely amazing. Custom adaptive triggers for each weapon that add new functions to the pull of a trigger itself, advanced VFX that take visual spectacle over the top, haptics to give every impact unique and physical sensations that further allow weapons to express their personality. And our signature creativity for the exotic and unexpected weapon concepts is in full force. The weapon experience is shaping up to be incredible. It has been an incredibly rewarding process of learning to shed outdated best practice that has been in place due to the constraints of loading times. It's exciting to think that we're still so early in the life cycle and everything is just scratching the surface of what can be done. So excited to know it's only going to get crazier. So that's what Insomniac Games had to say during this interview when talking about Ratchet and Clank. And I'm hoping we see more of this game soon and we get a release date. It is scheduled for the launch window of the PlayStation 5. And I just love what Insomniac is saying here because I think if there's any studio that's really been kind of going full force with the PS5 and trying to really show what this console can do, I think it's been Insomniac Games with Spider-Man Miles Morales, even what they're doing with the Spider-Man remaster, but especially with what they're doing with Ratchet and Clank. And as you can see here, we have yet another developer that's not only letting us know they're just scratching the surface and everything we're seeing now is just the beginning. It is going to get much crazier, much more exciting down the line. But what they're doing now is they're just completely rethinking their approach to game design. And all throughout last year, this is what we talked about with the PS5. This is why everything that Mark Cerny had to say about their approach to creating the PS5, this is what it's all about. Kind of getting away from those older ways of thinking that have just kind of, plagued game development for many years now and just kind of enabling developers to do something completely new and frankly just form new ways of thinking about development. So it's very exciting. It's very exciting to hear that this is what Insomniac is already doing right out of the gate with the PS5. I can't imagine what it's going to be like just a couple of years from now. Something tells me it's going to be absolutely mind-blowing what some of Sony Studios and those developers are able to achieve with this hardware. The PS5 is no joke, that's for sure. So we're going to move right along here and talk once again about next-gen console sales. We do have good news all around as we have a new report here that claims that the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S, the sales are actually outpacing that of the PS4 and the Xbox One during the same time period. So the PS5 and Xbox Series XS are off to a solid start, according to GameIndustry.biz's Christopher Dring, who has revealed that the new consoles from Sony and Microsoft are both selling more than the PS4 and Xbox One achieved during the same time period when they launched. And so he says, more PS5s and Xbox Series consoles were sold compared to PS4s and Xbox Ones over the same period when they launched. It's pretty impressive. Also, Xbox One and PS4 combined have not sold a couple of 100 million. So pretty interesting stuff here. To me, the most important aspect of this is to pay attention to the fact that if this information is to be believed, which I think it is, it's coming from a reliable source, that the PS5 and Series X are already outpacing the not the current gen consoles, but the last gen consoles. It's going to be hard to get used to saying that. And I think this is just great news all around because I've been kind of tracking the sales of these consoles to see how they're doing because we hear the same thing every single time there is a new generation of console, and that is, oh well, console gaming is done. It's over. Everybody's moving on to mobile gaming or cloud gaming or whatever else it may be, and the console is just going to kind of start to drift away and just go away eventually. And we're seeing the literal opposite of that. Not only is it a struggle right now for Sony and Microsoft to meet demand, but even with that struggle, they're already able to outpace what the PS4 and Xbox One was able to do back in 2013. So it just makes me think, how much further ahead would these consoles be right now if there wasn't a supply constraint? And we're going to find out. That's why I've been kind of following this stuff and letting you guys know that I am going to continue to report on this and update everybody and let you know what is being said about these hardware sales. Both the PS5 and the Series X are doing well. I think the PS5 is, in the long run, going to potentially do significantly better than the Xbox consoles. We will see about that, but either way, it is off to a very solid start. So good news all around, honestly, for console sales in general. If you are a fan of console gaming, then this should be music to your ears. But we're going to close out this video by talking a little bit about the upcoming PS5 exclusive Returnal, which is launching this March, as we have some new info on it. Nothing major, but I do kind of want to have a little bit of a conversation before ending this video about the price point of this game, because every time I see people talk about Returnal, the price point is brought up, and there seems to be kind of two sides to this. There's those who just think Returnal is way overpriced, and they're just absolutely not going to pay $70 for this title, no matter how much they try to convince us it's AAA. And there's others that really love what they're seeing with Returnal and feel as though it's certainly worth that $70 price tag. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But we do have a little bit of new information about this upcoming PS5 exclusive. This is coming from the latest Housecast Dev Diary, which is something that Housemarque does. And they, again, talk a little bit about the game, give us some more info, and show us a little bit more gameplay footage, which looks great. I would recommend checking it out for yourself. But it says here, game director Harry Kruger discusses bringing Housemarque's signature gameplay from 2D or top-down perspectives into a third-person view, mentioning the challenges of adding verticality and having threats coming from multiple angles. When it comes to controls, Kruger speaks of a desire to have responsive, tight, intuitive gameplay. This is something Housemarque has nailed in the past, so we certainly have faith this will play wonderfully. He also reiterates how the game will use the adaptive triggers of the DualSense controller. The team is using the L2 button to give you two functions instead of just one. Squeezing the trigger halfway will aim down sights, and pressing it fully will switch the weapon into its alternate fire mode. It's designed to be intuitive and seamless, reducing the amount of inputs a player will have to remember. If you prefer a more traditional button layout, the game has fully customizable controls as well. So yeah, not a whole lot of information, but this is a game I'm actually very excited about. And to kind of get back to the whole price conversation again, I think that people really kind of blow this up into a bigger thing that it needs to be. I am just of the mindset that if you don't feel this game is worth $70, then just don't pay for it. You don't have to buy it. You have to speak with your wallet. Sony's trying to test the waters with games like this. Me personally, I think the game looks great. It's a game that I want to play day one when it comes out, so I have no problem paying that price point for it because I do ultimately feel it's going to be worth it. If I play the game and I beat it and I'm like, wow, that was like way too short, or there's just not enough content here, or worst case scenario, it's just not a very good game, but I think it looks like it's going to be a great game, then yeah, maybe my perspective will be like, wow, okay, I don't think that was worth it, and maybe I would have been better off waiting for a price drop. But that's the thing, is it will eventually get a price drop. So if you really are against paying that full $70 price tag, then just hold off on it. But I do think this is an appropriate price point because everything we've heard, this is a AAA title. Now, whether you think it looks like one or not, that's your opinion. That's subjective. I think it's understandable why some people think it might not be that full-blown AAA game that you would expect, but I'm willing to give Housemarque the benefit of the doubt here, as well as Sony, and so I'm not sure whose decision it is to sell it at full price, whether that's Sony's or Housemarques or like a mutual agreement. But worst case scenario, the game will get discounted if it, if it just fails to sell because nobody's biting at that $70 price point. But it will be interesting to see how the game reviews, how much people talk about it, how much Sony decides to market it as we get closer to launch. But I'm just in the mindset of, if you think that it's too expensive, just hold off on it. Just don't spend your money on it right now. It's not going to go anywhere, and you may miss out for a little bit. But yeah, I would also maybe just wait to hear what reviewers have to say. I mean, that's not to say that we should just follow that as the be all end all. Of course not. But sometimes listening to reviews in this case can really help kind of gauge whether or not this is going to be worth a full $70 purchase. So that's my recommendation. But ultimately, I think Returnal looks great. I love to see Sony trying to take these teams such as Housemarque, who have so much potential and they have done such a good job in the past, and just kind of like, elevate them. Like, can you guys do something bigger and better than what you've done in the past? I love to see that. And that's why I'm so excited for Returnal. And that's why I'm so eager to actually just pay that full price, because if it turns out to be a great game, then, that's going to be me supporting them and letting them know that, yes, I want more of this. I want more teams to create bigger AAA titles, and I will pay for that quality. So anyway, that does it for the video, guys. Again, I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.